Well, my scope of work is there are about 1,000 feet of box drain at 3 feet by 2 feet wide. Now the reason for this box drain is to more or less resurface the road, basically, because they've been having some challenges over the years inside this area in particular because of the housing and stuff like that. They saw all the water being running down across the road. They keep resurfacing, like putting binding in it and stuff like that, so the water keep, the road was not in condition for the longest while. So in order for them to resurface the road and get it in a better workable or motorable condition, the ministry saw it fit to put the box drain in there, Initially this road was, in a long time it would have been a farm road, but in those days, what transport they used to be using, rover and things like that, so the road was very narrow. So now that we establishing the drain, it's going to vary in a way, but in particular it's going to be a lot better for motoring and for the people that live in the area, in the Mount Hartman community as such. And what I also noticed that they have the Chinese project going on at the bottom, so I think all of that would enhance the development of the road.
In terms of your time, I know we had a little range on them, but when are you projected to complete, and how many young men, and I've seen women on some projects, gained employment to keep us staff? Just tell me in terms of employment generation.
Yes, well, I have at present 8 workers. And within the 8 workers, I have 3 tradesmen, and the other 5 is laborers as such. And myself and my son is part of the whole thing. So there are about 10 of us that is on the job at this point in time. But sometimes it fluctuates, Sometimes because everybody looking for a little thing. So sometimes I have to give them a kind of technical retrench in order to share the thing. Which is cool. Well, I was hoping this would take me there about 2 months and a half, maximum 3 months, But trying to formulate ideas and ways and means to beat the weather, So I think I have to kind of maximize on it and to put in extra hours during the week as such, so that I can get away from the weather, because you see how the rain keep falling, so sometimes it distracts us a bit. So whenever we have the good weather, I push it. So you never know, sometimes I could finish within 6 weeks. So that would be, that's my objective.
So how far down you reach?
Well, I'm reaching just after this last house you're looking at.
The purple house there? What really happened presently, this road had been in a bad condition for a long time, So we see it's necessary for us to really make the people in the community feel comfortable. So what we are doing presently, we are grading the roadway and establishing the drains, and we're going to do some binding temporary seal for the preparation for next year, January, to do some concrete pavements and some concrete drains on that area. The approximately which we're looking at is 10 feet, right? And we have approximately 450 feet of roadway, which we're gonna be establishing together with the drains.
problems that existed before you got the steps, and how appreciative you are for it.
Okay. Well, the problem is, when a long time, it's over 15 to 20 years that this was in the making, right? And at one time, about 10 years ago, and a certain party came in, and when they come, they said they're going to fix it. They tell me, I said, well, I heard that before, and nothing was done. He said, well, you didn't go to the right source as well. I hope you are the right source now. That right source went through the crack. And then they came back, and it became worse. It became worse after the people want to know, you going on this thing, you're afraid? But I continue, I'm a patient person. I continue to be patient. Then they came, they put some drum down for about 5 or so years, this drum, until about 3 months ago, a Sherlock truck passed and heaved these 3 drums down into the yard. This is when things came into action. They came, we sent the picture to the ministry, we sent it to certain people around, and they took it up, which I see one of my good friends there. And they came and look at it, because the children that usually play in the yard have a little grandchild, little boy. And it could have been worse. But I thank God, I'm a patient person. I thank God that it has done, and to be honest, I'm satisfied, quite satisfied. With the men did a wonderful job here. I can tell it was a wonderful job. So I thank whosoever. I say thank you, thank God for what has done, and we're looking forward to the moving of this wall, because that's the next problem we see, that this could come down any minute again. So. But
are you aware that they're in the process of working in terms
Yes, I saw measurement. I saw them come and measure, then I saw them come back and test the soil the other day. I saw them come and they said that they would do something sooner or later, and I hope it will be sooner.
Okay, and that brings a sense of joy for you.
Yes, it is, and all of us, the whole family is quite happy, quite comfortable with this. I mean, we're happy about this. We're happy, we're grateful, very, very grateful for this, because I mean, it wasn't an easy piece to live in with this. Didn't know what time it's going to come down, what is it that the disaster was going to be. One of the men that came said they're going to demolish that, because first of all they said they was going to do a temporary step, so I don't know if this is still temporary. Because they tell me we're going to do a temporary step because we cannot move this wall here, otherwise we're going to have the whole wall coming down. So this is one of the things they're planning to do, to move this, because if you look at it, it's moving. So
The wall is 40 feet by 8 feet in height. Okay? The base is 6 feet 2. That base is 6 feet 2. The stem of the wall is 10 inches. And to the top of the wall is 8 inches. From since the first day we cut, the second day we come, we had challenges. When them heavy thing pass, the soil break in and it fall down and it fall back up the thing. So we had to get the excavator again to clear it. Well, we come and we almost prepare everything. Everything we almost prepare. We was just digging the key. We was digging the key, and then the rain come when, not last night before. The rain come night before, and when we come, and then that section break fall down inside it. So I just call back the excavator again. So right now, you see, you don't have a trench there. The trench cover back up. So right now we use ply to bar off where you go fall down, and then now we run in the board and get ready to dig back the trench and to get back to the level and blind it with some 2 inches concrete.
Okay. So how much you would say would that have set you back in terms of the time you're supposed to complete?
Well, that will set me back about roughly about 4 days I feel. Yeah, that will set back roughly about 4 days. The heavier structural parts, once they abide with us and they keep more to that side. Just to keep the weight on that side. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why you see we put speed bump. When they pass with speed, it break in. So once they pass slow and they pass on the side, everything go out.
So you just want motorists to adhere based on your safety?
Yes. And the safety and the for the bank to break and hamburgers.
Here we had actually about 6 weeks to complete this job, and in record time we did that. 135 by 15 feet of road. Box train is about 700 feet. Well, I think is durable because we work with the specs, which is 5 inches of concrete and you BRC and everything, and I think it's durable. Oh, well, the actual condition was very bad. we had to do some excavation, and well, you know, over the years this road was been very terrible in terms of water and so forth. So we had some difficulties in terms of the excavation and having the machine to grade and ram properly. And finally we had a good weather in the early part of the construction, and we maneuvered good. Well, the sentiment of the people, well, for the neighborhood, they was very cooperative, and the supervisors and what have you, when they come, they were satisfied with the production, they were satisfied with the how everything were handled.
And we are working with the Ministry of Works doing some roads, wall and drain. The scope of work entail 240 feet of pavement, 190 feet of slipper drain with 60 feet of retaining wall at 12 feet high. It's just 2 months work. Yeah, so we're here for 2 months, and actually this is the first month. We did part of the road already, half of the wall, and so we are already on time. We do the we do use solid steel for the as you see down there, we have the steel work for the slipper drain, and we have the BRC, heavy duty BRC for the thing, and for the walls we using 5/8, 3/8, 1/2 inch steel, tied at 8 inches apart, bars and stuff. The footing is actually 6.5 feet wide by 1 foot of concrete thick to cover. The wall is actually 9 by 8, 9 bottom to 8 at the finishing at 8 at the top.
I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened. I'm not afraid no more.
Hello there, good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petty Martinique. What a joy it is again this Friday morning to be with you. You're live on Hard Talk Grenada Limited. We are here, as we oftentimes say, to bring you facts, to bring you issues that are reliable and truthful, issues that can be fact-checked. We are not like every other radio program that just talks. We talk reality. We talk about issues that confront our people, and we look for solutions. And we're coming to you live today and every day on CitySound Radio right out there in River Road 97.5. On the RealFM in Grenada, out there in St. Patrick's, RealFM 91.9 and 91.5. We're also live on CRFM 89.5 radio. Carriacou and Petty Martinique out there in Hillsborough, Sister Isles Radio 92.9. And for those of you in the diaspora, you can hear us live on We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn 94.9. We say good morning and welcome to all of those joining us on those digits, as well as you can join us virtually via YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. You'll also have the opportunity to follow us and communicate with us via WhatsApp. And when we open up the lines a little later this morning, you can reach us on those dials 440-7377, 440-7377. That is if you're calling locally. And if you want to reach us from out there in the diaspora, it's 347-329-3101. I'll repeat, 347-329-3101. 447-329-3101 for those in the diaspora, 440-7377 locally. Join us, be part of the conversation, engage us, engage each other. Give us information of what is happening in your neck of the wood or what isn't happening. As we oftentimes say, we welcome everyone. We welcome every issue. Even if you do not agree with us or the discussion that we are having, we welcome you to talk, to participate. All we ask you to do is have discipline and be respectable. We can disagree with each other, but we do not have to disrespect one another. So once you're going to be speaking to us in a respectable manner and you are not going to be calling names and trying to destroy people and their character, you're welcome to join us in Hard Talk. You may have a question, you may have a comment, you may have a suggestion, or maybe you just want to say hello to someone who is in studio. Because this morning again, we have a very, very, very special guest with us this morning. It's a young lady. It's someone that I have the greatest of respect and admiration for. Admiration and respect because not just who she is, but because of what she does and the desire that she has for transforming the lives of people. And my friends, if you're celebrating today, well, we say happy celebration. Whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary, the birth of a child or a grandchild or a relative coming into the world, a challenging world it is. But, of course, we have to share joy and we have to share a little laughter and gladness when there is a new birth. If you're not very well, we pray and hope that God, will shower his blessings upon you and that you would find some ways quicker than normal to get back, nurse yourself back to good health. Have faith, The master said, if my people shall humble themselves and call upon my name, good things will come to us. Grenada is a good country. Our leadership is doing very well. I mean, there are things that they can do better. There are things that they can do differently. But I think it's not just my opinion, but the opinion of many, that they're trying. They're trying to get there. And we need to do our part as the citizens. We need to hold our end up. We need to continue, to move along the journey where our destiny, our hope will take us. The goals that we have planned for ourselves and for that of our offsprings, we need to work on it and not depend on someone else to make it happen for us. So as I've said, there is a guest with us. We had someone yesterday. We had Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox from the Ministry of Infrastructural Development, and he gave us a lot of information. I know we're in for even more information today, as I want our very special guest to introduce herself. I'm not going to introduce her to you. She's going to introduce herself first by telling us her name, where she works, and then we'll take it from there. Just a little bit about who that person is, so when you start talking, at least the public will know who they're listening to. So, my dear, welcome, and please let the public know who you are.
Good morning, Mr. Bola. Good morning to your viewers, your listeners. It is definitely a pleasure to be here this morning. My name is Avril Edwards Nichols, and I am the Social Care Officer in the Ministry of Youth. It is definitely a pleasure to be having this opportunity to let the public know that there is a social care unit within the Ministry of Youth, and we are geared towards mentorship, counseling, and providing psychosocial support to the nation's youth. Just a little bit of background in terms of who I am. I started my professional career just about 20 years ago as a teacher. And very early as a teacher, I realized that I had a passion for assisting the students, not just academically, but in terms of their psychosocial development. And it just so happened that those persons who needed counseling and mentorship, they were the ones that gravitated to me, those that were most vulnerable and marginalized. And it was there that the principal recognized that it's probably the best thing that I become the health and family life subject leader. And that is where the foundation was set. I took that opportunity as health and family life subject leader and decided that I wanted to upgrade myself so that I can provide better service, quality service. So I studied psychology. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I went even further in terms of upgrading, and I attained a master's degree in health management, as well as a second master's in social policies. And the aim is just to be able to have the most impact that I can with this life that I've been given and to serve fully. For the last 2 years, I've served as the head of the social care unit. The unit comprises of 7 individuals, mentors, counselors, and social care officers, and we are doing all that we can within the resources that we have to try our best to help the youth of Grenada, not just in terms of the academics or work-wise, but in terms of their mindset. We believe that everybody has the ability to make a positive contribution, and we want to empower them as much as we can so that they can do their best and serve our country to the fullest.
Well, a lot said in a few words, and that's in summary, in just a few words, we'll tell our listeners the level of the individual that we're dealing with, someone who knows themselves, knows what they're about, and knows how to get what they want, which is sometimes, a little problem, I believe, that we encounter with much of our young people these days. They seem, Ms. Nichols, not to have a proper sense of direction, if I can call it that, or not too assured of themselves or their footing. They seem to be having doubts about whether they're going in the correct direction or not. Tell us, have you, in your experience, almost 18 years as a teacher and in the last 2 years or so with the Ministry of Youth, have you found it to be that way? And if yes, what are some of the reasons you think that our young people seem to be lost and not too assured of themselves?
Definitely. Within my career, I've definitely seen that the young persons, they need that kind of guidance. A lot of the times they require guidance, they seek it out, but some of the elder persons within society, time and resources, they feel as though they mightn't have enough to give. So the young persons often find themselves trying to navigate through life all on their own. Sometimes they might think that they want to go in a particular career direction. Before long, you find them changing their minds and going into another direction. And that is why I think mentorship is so important. And that is one of the things that the social care unit offers. Sometimes within the homes, the family is not intact as it should be. So persons don't have anyone to go to sit down, to just to have a sounding board. They have an idea, they throw it out, somebody give them feedback and give them that kind of guidance. That is what the social care unit is about. So as they come in, we assess what their needs are. And we also try to decipher what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses so that we can help them in terms of getting their goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. And as we go, we periodically would do a little self-evaluation. Have you made progress? How can you improve? And strategize again so that they can go forward. We think that yes, there is much more that can be done within the family unit, but we try our best within the social care unit to give that extra support.
Yeah. So I glean from what you've said that your unit within the Ministry of Youth is doing the best it can.
We try.
But you're also hinting That the bedrock for that kind of foundation that young people want, the psychosocial care and assistance, must first be embedded within the family, within the family structure. Yes?
Definitely. And the school as well has a large part to play, the family primarily, but I don't want us to ever underestimate the impact of subjects like health and family life. That is one of my passions. I believe that we don't want to put too much weighting on the math and the English and the other subjects. You can leave school with 11 subjects, but how do you know how to cope with stresses when they hit you?
Life's problems.
Yeah. So I think that we don't want to take health and family life and underestimate the kind of impact that a subject like that can have on our youth, and not just from the secondary level, but from primary school right up. Conflict resolution, decision making, all of these subjects, communication skills, assertiveness, these are the things that will help the person to develop themselves holistically. So I don't want us to ever think that, yes, the academic is important, but the life skills, the soft skills, they have their place, and they make the person a whole person.
Yeah. So, as you've put it, and correctly so, with all of the academics, the bachelors or the masters, we can attain, but without those underlying skills, which more or less anchors you in whatever you do. Because I think it is quite clear for us to see within society, and not just in a Grenada context, but also internationally. We see, we hear, we read about a lot of very brilliant minds, but yet still they become failures. They transgress against the law. And sometimes we ask ourselves, well, that individual seemed to be an intelligent person. Why would they have done this? Why did they do that?
Right.
Weren't they thinking? And maybe we can go back and say, these soft skills, as you refer to them, is what might be missing.
Oh, yes.
They have been pushed so hard, so early to become an academic star, or a star in that field. And those other softer skills, which are so important from what you're saying, may have been missed there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Nichols, do you think having attached such importance to that unit, 7 people, I know you don't hold the government purse, and you can't say, we need 10 more people like myself. But just from the numbers that you have to deal with, and the extent of that problem or that issue, the need, do you believe that that's a unit that needs to be expanded, one, within the youth department? But secondly, as you've mentioned, the school system, from even the primary or even the kindergarten stage, would you advise, from the position where you are and what you're seeing, that maybe a unit similarly should be developed within the Ministry of Education, so they can start establishing and ensuring that our young children get properly grounded with those issues from a very early age?
Good. So I would try to separate those questions. I'll take the first one in terms of the Ministry of Youth. In 2018, when the social care unit was established, it was just myself, actually.
Yeah.
It was one person, but I primarily worked within the Imani program. Now, it was identified that a lot of the young persons within the program, when they go out to their apprenticeship sites, they were not functioning effectively, and usually it was related to social issues. So they might have encountered domestic violence, or there's a health issue, some kind of family dispute that is causing them to either be late often or to be absent regularly. So all of these things, we realized that we needed to address the social issues in order to help them to effectively function. And from the Imani program, some of the other programs within the ministry had similar requirements, similar needs. So Project ACE needed the help of the social care unit. Empower, another program within the ministry, needed the help of the social care unit. Project Fly needed the help of the social care unit. So it became too much for just one person. So I must say that there has been efforts over the 2 years to expand that unit. We got a male person that is helping a lot with the young men as a mentor. His background is in law enforcement, so he helps a lot in terms of advocating for them and asking persons to just give them a second chance, though they might have made mistakes in the past. And then we had mentors in the field. So we have 3 mentors now working in the field. And we have 2 counselors, one on Grenada Island, and then we have in Carriacou. So Carriacou is not excluded at all. So we have 7 persons, but I must say that I think we need to expand because we're working with thousands of young persons, and just to have 7 individuals, it is definitely taxing on us. So I would suggest that we expand, but primarily in the field, within the community, so we can take a more proactive approach to what we do rather than having persons referred to us. We can go out and conduct sessions, workshops, presentations with them so that they don't necessarily have to reach that frustration point where they have to come into the unit.
Before an intervention is done.
Yes. And in terms of...
just before you take the ministry, let's just take a caller who is persistent. Good morning, caller. Hello?
Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning, yeah?
As I'm hearing this lady speaking about that, I'm watching a guy here right now in this village, walking up and down the place for days now. I almost got a heart attack. I thought he was going to fall over the bridge. And he's not well, and I think...
Which village is that?
Paraclete.
In Paraclete?
Yes.
Has anyone informed the Ministry of Health? Or...
This morning he was born naked, the pipe bathing. Born naked.
Well, the police probably is not the best people. The police may not be the best people to deal with his issues, but they may be the best to call at this time to see if they can get him, off the street and some place where the social care people can probably talk with him, or maybe even a medical doctor do an assessment of what might be his problem.
Definitely.
Yes, and the other thing, I want you to let the people know that traffic is blocked for the Blaze Road because the bridge is being
worked on at the moment.
Instead of they having to reach halfway and then they can't pass.
Okay, so I'll make that announcement for you. And please, it is our responsibility, one to another, to help in whatever way. And calling the police may be the best way you can help. There are sometimes people in society that thinks by calling the police you are doing an injustice.
I don't like the way it's being up.
Right. So before something worse happens, they need to come get him off the street and bring him to a facility where he can get the requisite help.
I'm watching that for the whole day.
Don't just watch it, my dear. Do something about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for informing us.
Okay. Then.
All right, and thanks for listening to. There's a lot that you would hear from Miss Nichols.
All right.
You're right. Thanks. Yes. You have a good one too, Miss Nichols.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller. And as she mentions this particular case, the social care unit works in collaboration with other organizations, including the Mongay Mental Hospital. So, based on the symptoms that is being seen or displayed with this particular young man, it definitely calls for an assessment. A psychological evaluation, and then we would be able to take it from there. But definitely the first step is to get the police involved. So just to go on to the second question, in terms of the Ministry of Education, I am aware that the Ministry of Education is definitely trying as well. There is a student support unit that goes out to the schools. They do presentations within PTA meetings and so to try to help from their end as well. But maybe there is a need for increased collaboration between the ministries. So yes, they try within that age range while persons are in school. So from 5 to about 17 thereabout. But as they go into the ages of 18 to 35, that's where the Ministry of Youth comes in. And the transition now could be a smoother one. So they know that though they may no longer be in school and they don't have the teachers there to help them as much, but the Ministry of Youth is there as well.
Right. So that's youth doing their part. And what it also tells me is that we have totally, for a long time, as the public, or most of us, I probably should say, misinterpret what the Ministry of Youth is really involved in. I think for most of us, what's in our mind is the Imani, which also is the flagship program of the ministry and maybe where the greatest emphasis is being placed.
Yes.
But we had with us last week, it was I think, Mr. Johnny Callis from the Ministry of Youth, a different department to you, speaking about some of the programs for at-risk individuals, like you mentioned a few of them, FLY, Fostering Level-Headed Youths, and ACE,
Project Reach.
Project Reach at the Her Majesty's Prison, where you try to deal with the young offenders and things like that. And here we are getting now a totally different spin. You are not there to place anyone in a work environment, but you are dealing consistently with people who are having issues. Also conflict, we can call it, but more conflict within themselves,
Yes.
What decision should I take? Which direction should I go? So it shows that the Ministry of Youth is having a very impactful role, positively so, on the lives of these young people. And maybe the public needs to know, and as I've said to Mr. Callis and others even before him, maybe not enough is being said about the other programs. So, I want to congratulate you. But I want to ask you, Ms. Avril, through the Ministry of Social Development, we hear about social workers.
Right.
And now we're hearing about social care.
Right.
Is there really a difference, or do they overlap one way or the other, or are they both needed at the same time? Please explain that to us so our listeners could get a better understanding.
Yes, I'm very glad that you asked that question. There is a differentiation between the two. A social care worker, which I am, a social care officer, we work with the person, the individual, and in a more personalized, individually based approach. A social worker working within the Ministry of Social Development, that person works in a more systematic, structured environment. So the difference here is that we, as social care officers, we specifically work with youth, and we try to build that relationship with them. It can be short-term, long-term, and we work on their strengths and trying to help them to improve on their weaknesses and provide mentorship. A lot of the times we work in collaboration with the social workers at the Ministry of Social Development. So based on the case, if there is a need for a referral to a social worker at the Ministry of Social Development, that is made. And usually, just yesterday, I was on the telephone with a social worker, and we're collaborating in terms of how we can assist these. There were 3 young ladies that needed assistance, and we were strategizing as to how we can work together to help that person, not just in terms of counseling, but there was a requirement for housing, and the social worker would have had different, a network that she can provide help. So we work together, and I think that the youths are definitely blessed to have the unit which works personally with them, as well as the social workers that would help them in terms of getting some of the more tangible assistance.
So in terms of some of the material shortcomings that will make life a little bit more comfortable for you.
Exactly.
Social workers are more tend to work on those.
Exactly.
Social care works with the person. And what are the personal traits that needs care and needs to change.
Definitely.
So how challenging is it for you as a social care worker? One, to assess first whether a person needs a social care or a social worker. So you need to first get the assessment.
Right.
And then after assessing, if it is deemed that what they need is social care, how difficult it is to get through and to get along and to build that, because I would understand from the nature of your job that you have to build relationships with these people. There must be an element of trust so that they can speak to you. How difficult it is to get around those things.
So as the young persons are referred to the unit, as you rightly said, the first step is to assess their needs. So at some points you might realize that it might just be a little bit above our capacity within the unit. So that's where the referrals are made. So the referral could be made to different organizations that we have a network with. Social development is one. Legal aid and counseling is another. Sometimes it might be Child Protection Authority. Sometimes it's Mungay Hospital. But if we realize that that person is in need of mentorship and just a change in mindset, then the unit tries to build that relationship with the young person. A social care officer has to be somebody that's trustworthy. They have to be somebody that's compassionate and empathetic. And we have to explain to them that whatever they tell us is going to remain confidential, so that they don't feel as though whatever they discuss is going to be brought on the streets, as we say. So once we establish that bit of rapport, sometimes we don't jump into counseling, or jump into just the work itself, but just sometimes we play games. Sometimes we go out doing different social activities. We go to the beach. Sometimes we go to the river. So they feel as though they have a friend, they have a mentor, they have somebody there to support them. And that kind of rapport, they feel comfortable enough to speak their mind without being judged. They don't feel as though somebody is going to judge them. We understand that in life, mistakes are made, but we don't stay down. We get up and we brush ourselves off and we go again. So we understand where they're coming from, and we relate to them that we do understand. And from there, the relationship is built, and usually the relationship is very long term. Even though they might have achieved certain successes, they always come back to say hello, to give you a little update as to what's happening now, a progress report as they go. So they always touch base. And that is what we want from them. We want them to know that there's always a support base that they can come back to.
You must have, I imagine, a very long list of contacts.
Oh, yes. Definitely a long list.
What would you say are some other main challenges that you face?
As you mentioned, that contact list, that is definitely one of the challenges we have, because we always want, sometimes they come in, but we also want to reach out. So though they might have moved on and they've done certain things, and we now want to check in, but the phone numbers would have changed, and it's harder for us to find them, because for some reason a lot of the young persons change phones regularly. So that is one of the challenges. In addition to that, we have persons that may come in with the willingness, as they say, the mind is willing, but the body is weak. So you find that they want to make the change, but then when they return to the environments that they're accustomed to, the friends that they're used to, they struggle a bit in making the progress that they want to make. So that's definitely a challenge. We don't want to have to be pushing persons to make changes. We want them to be the person that sees the need to make positive changes in their lives. So in some cases, a kind of non-committance is one of the issues that we have. And of course, another challenge has to do with the human resource. We wish that there were more persons out there who feel the passion to help others, to serve the youth, and to just help in terms of developing our country through the human resources. We wish that more persons out there can join this really noble profession to help us to do more.
Good. You've just told us some of the challenges that you have. And with those challenges, ahead of you, how do you go about monitoring the hundreds of young people that, with a small unit and the resources being kind of limited, human and financial?
Oh, yes.
How do you go about monitoring your people?
Right. So the monitoring is usually twofold. One, it is basically from them telling us about the progress that they would have made. So as I mentioned in the start, there's always goals being set. So we have short-term goals and long-term goals. And as we go through the process, we would always check back with them. The goals might be things like doing some sort of refurbishment to their homes, starting a savings account, exercising 3 times a week, eating healthier, and these sorts of goals that are very measurable. So as we go, we would check back on them, and they would tell us whether or not they've made improvements in certain areas, or if they need to take another strategy in order to achieve the goal. So that is one way that we monitor from self-reporting. Another way that we monitor is through the field supervisors that we have. As they would have passed through the unit, we would check with the supervisors. We would ask, have you seen any behavioral changes? Have you noticed this person, if in the past they were not punctual or their dress code was inappropriate? Have you seen a change in their behavior? And as the supervisors indicate what they've seen, we can basically understand how effective the intervention that we had has been. But definitely in many cases, we have seen improvements. There are some cases where there are relapses. Persons might improve for a short time and we're all excited about the progress. And based on what season it is, could be they have a little bit more temptations to fall back. And we hear about these relapses. We call them in again and ask them how we can help them to keep on track. And we realize that it's young persons that we're dealing with, so we have to be very patient. So, but primarily in terms of monitoring, it's self-reporting as well as getting feedback from supervisors and persons. Sometimes we even engage the families as well. So we're asking persons, how has things really improved?
Yeah, I was about to ask you whether or not the community at large. So I am from a particular village, community.
Right.
Do you engage people in my community? Do you tell them, as you've said, there need to be a certain level of confidentiality.
Yes.
What it is we're discussing, what are my issues must not be out there. But is the community engaged in any way to say, look, we're working with this young person or this group of young people. What are your thoughts about them? What have you seen different about them? What do you know about them? Or can you keep an eye out and report to us? Your unit and the people doing similar work like you, do they engage the community in any way outside of the family members?
Not necessarily the community at large. We do field visits. So when we go to the homes of the persons, most likely we would interact with the persons within the family. Yes. So the family members would know some of the issues. And this is all based on having the consent of the person that we work with. So if they don't necessarily want to involve the family, we have to ensure that we respect their wishes. But in conversation, sometimes we help them to understand that the environment does play a part in the struggles that you're having. So usually they're okay with us involving the family, and the persons within the family would be those that would give us feedback as to the progress that they have been seeing, sisters and grandmothers. And so they're always letting us know, he has been making progress and he's doing this and he's doing that now and he didn't used to do it before. So we get a good feel from the family. But so far we have not necessarily been engaging the community at large, except for those projects where you have within the Ministry of Youth, like Project ACE, for instance, where you have a community that of young persons from the same community. So, for instance, Project ACE worked with Moncton
Yes.
recently. So the community would know that these group of young persons are going to the community center and they're working on developing themselves. So in that kind of setting, then we can always engage the community because everybody knows what's happening there. The social care unit recently went to Willis, where Project Fly is happening.
Yeah.
So we conducted a few sessions there, and again, all the persons there are from the same community. So in those instances, the community is very aware, and they would let you know. I mean, he's going to sessions every day, and we're looking to see the progress that he would make. So in that kind of setting with Project ACE, Project Fly, community-based projects, we can definitely get feedback from the community as a whole.
Do you have a system in place, or does the unit, maybe not say you, but the unit, have a system in place where you can track, you can keep track of the individual? So the locality, contact numbers,
Yes.
their relatives, their best friends, and because they're young people and they may move from one village to the next, from one parish to the next. How do you keep, that kind of track of them to know their progress, one? And as you've mentioned before, sometimes they leave the program, they graduate out of the program, they're into a permanent job now. How do you keep in touch to know, yes, they are doing well? We have a system or a software on the computer where we can just key in and get some information on that person. So does the department do that, the unit?
Right. So when persons come in, the first thing that we have is an intake form. And that intake would basically give us the information that you've just mentioned. Who do you live with? Who's the person that we can call in the case of an emergency, and this sort of information, and it is entered into a database. So the database has, just as you said, at the click of a button, we can pull up the information that was given then. But we depend a lot on the young persons to keep us informed. So sometimes they might change their numbers, and we would have to call the emergency contact person to contact them. Or we also have supervisors in the field that we rely on. So they're more in the community. We're going to ask, well, we're trying to reach this person. Can you help us? And they would be the ones to go and find a new number. And we contact the individual again, and we update our database. So it is definitely one of the challenges that we have. Keep in contact after persons would have graduated out of the unit or the different programs or projects that they're in. We have what we have in terms of database, but we rely on them as well to keep us up to date.
Any success stories that you can speak about publicly?
Oh, yes, definitely. In the last 2 years, it has been so fulfilling to see the successes of some of those persons that we've worked with. For the sake of confidentiality, I wouldn't go into too much specifics, but one of the cases that I'm very proud of is a young man that started one of the programs, and he came drunk to some of the sessions that we had. And we were patient with him. We explained to him that we need to see improvement. He cannot come to the sessions drunk. And it was something where you see that he was struggling with it. We sat with him and basically created a little contract. Let's see you make this progress, and give a timeline and everything that you're going to try. Not just to cut off the drinking entirely, but gradually work to improve on it. And over time we saw progress. Then around Carnival, Christmas, we see that he relapsed a little bit, but ultimately he was able to overcome. And for the last few months, he has been sober. He has graduated out of the program that he was in, and he's doing very well, functioning very well within his community now. We also had cases where young women would come in battered and bruised, and you see the black and blue eyes. And there was one case with a tooth broken and hand broken. And this particular case, it was a domestic violence issue. And what we saw is that it stemmed from her self-esteem. So we had to work on her, building her self-esteem and helping her to see her value. And from there, we were able to gradually, with the support of the Ministry of Social Development and the other groups that we collaborate with, to move her and her children into her own home. And seeing her now walking the streets, I feel so proud to know that she has felt so empowered that she can move from this domestic case, this domestic violence case, and be a good parent to her children, set a good example for them. We have also had a case of 5 young ladies, after being in the program, deciding that they wanted to open their own business, something that before they would have thought is impossible, it's not for them. But they felt as though they're empowered, they can take a risk, they could try it. And they came up with an idea for air fresheners. It's a unique idea, something that you don't see all the time. And they sold it. They did a market research with the guidance of the social care unit. They did a market research, they sold some, and they decided to register this business. And with the help of GIDC, they're still working on this product. It's still a work in progress, but what makes me so proud of them is that they felt confident enough to make this step. So there have been many success stories that I can speak of, and we just pray that the young persons would continue to feel that they can go, they have the potential to do anything that they put their minds to.
We are talking with Ms. Avril Edwards Nichols, and she's the social care officer, or one of the 2, I think, because I think there's a second one, social care officer within the Ministry of Youth. There are 2 things that I want to put at your feet, Ms. Nichols, from 2 of the success stories that you spoke about. One, the young man used to be alcoholic, having changed, but has graduated from the program. Does the unit still keep in touch with him?
Definitely.
Right. And so you continue to track his progress and continue to be an outstretched arm in case he needs some further support.
Oh, yes, we are there. So we speak to him regularly. How you're going? What kind of support do you think we can provide to you? And he is just really proud of himself. And that's what's most important. He's proud of himself. He's seen where he was and where he's at now, and he knows that there's much more that he can do. So he's setting goals and still moving forward.
Right, climbing that ladder one tread at a time.
One at a time.
Right. The second thing that I want to ask, with that young lady who encountered the domestic violent issue and was helped, and now herself and her children probably is in a better place and doing that. Now, has the department taken any steps, or is there a role for the department in trying to find her partner, the abuser, and work with that individual as well to bring some sort of transformation?
Right. No, I use the example of that one young lady, but there are so many other women with similar situations that would have, at the end of it, they have their homes and so forth now and moved out. For that particular person, we were not able to identify or to work with the young man. But in some of the other cases, we have had the opportunity to get to have that young person speak to us as well. And the male social care officer, I remember him meeting one of the perpetrators of the domestic violence, and he had to sit down with him and have a stern conversation and try to be a mentor for him as well. So in some cases, the young men, we were able to intervene and to get them to basically work along with us as well. But in other cases, it's harder to get the men to basically accept the support that we provide.
Yeah, I really do hope that we can get more of them involved, because it is one thing to get the individual who is being abused at that particular time out of the situation. But that person, whatever it is that is troubling them or has troubled them or pushed them to the point to become an abuser, remains an abuser. And it may just be another wrong for another young lady.
Right.
And, so getting to the root of the problem, so to speak, is to probably try as much as possible to get to that person and see if there can be some transformative movement, getting them to understand that they do not have, violence is not what makes you a man, or is not what brings about maturity. It's your ability to look at confrontational situations and deal with it, in a non-violent manner. Yeah, that I think more than anything else. But that has to be taught to a lot of us.
Yes, and we definitely need their buy-in as well.
Yes.
We can approach them, but we need them to see that they need the help as well.
Well, we spoke a lot about the individuals within the programs that the Ministry of Youth offers, being able to access the social care unit, and sometimes being references being made by supervisors and other persons within the ministry. Who else? Is there anyone else who can access that unit and can benefit from what is being done and what is being taught, what is being offered? Or is it primarily persons engaged with the Ministry of Youth and its programs?
Right. So primarily, as you said, it's the persons within the Ministry of Youth programs. We get referrals from the supervisors, and we would be able to go through the process with the young persons because they're under our umbrella within the program. But we do not turn anyone away. So if there's anyone out there in the community between the ages of 18 and 35 and they need some mentorship, they need somebody to talk to, they feel as though they need some sort of counseling, they can always come to us at the unit. And if necessary, we would try our best to refer them to the right organizations, or we would be there ourselves providing mentorship and different support services to them. So persons must not at all feel as though because they're not under the programs or the projects of the ministry that they're excluded. That is definitely not the case. You come in, we're at the youth center. There we have 2 social care officers as well as the counselor. And as long as it's a need that we can help, we will provide the support.
So that's at the youth center right there in Grenada.
At the youth center in Grenada.
Just to the back of the Olympic house, I think Olympic Committee House.
And next to the Trade Center.
Right, next to the Trade Center. So young people out there who are listening and you may feel aggrieved about something, or you think that there's a needling problem that you have not been able to find a solution to as yet, you tell yourself that maybe you are going down that wrong path and you doesn't have the fortitude and the strength to change on your own. And I've said it on this program many times, it doesn't matter how far down the wrong road you've gone, you can always stop. Turn around, make a change, and get to the correct path. The Ministry of Youth, through its social care division, or in the youth center, is offering you an opportunity. They're saying, listen, you don't have to be engaged with a program within the Ministry of Youth. But if you think we can assist you, talk to us. Come to see us. We will determine whether your case is one that we can help, or if we may have to refer you to someone else or some other department, some other unit. But help, we will definitely try to give.
Exactly.
Now, we spoke earlier on about some of the challenges of your department and so on. But in your mind, and from where you sit and what you do, what you're observing, do you see ways, or have you probably penned as you go along little things that can be done differently, can be approached differently, that would bring drastic improvement to the unit and can cause the unit to offer more in a more timely manner to to its clients?
Yes. One of the goals that we've set for 2021 is that we would have more community focused, just as you mentioned before, in an effort to be more proactive. Because we've realized that a lot of the times when the persons come to us, it's because they're to the point where they're very frustrated and they might have contemplated taking drastic action. So we have seen the need within the unit to, as I said before, to be more proactive. So if that means that we need to go out and do workshops within the communities and to do presentations, and so we would need, again, more human resources here, but to have a more community focused persons within the community that the young persons can go to and deal with issues at the baby stages before it gets to the point where persons are frustrated and they're contemplating negative actions. So for 2021, hopefully, if all goes well, we would be able to make some improvements in that area, not just working with persons after the fact, but before, giving them the skills that they need before they reach to that frustration point.
There are some of us in society, and I dare say most of us, like men, feel that you need to be hardened. You need to take a mature approach to things. And this babysitting kind of pampering that your unit want to give is not what we need, and may not agree totally with the approach. What do you say to a group like that? What are the things you can say that will convince us that is what is needed in most cases? That's the approach that will work.
Right.
How do you get around if you are being faced? You are being mobbed now by a group of stronger men that tell you, that doesn't make sense. Let's get rid of it.
We might be so surprised at how the men, the reactions that we get from men. Sometimes they come in and you would see that they're a little bit reserved. They're scoping out what we're all about. And from the time that the rapport is built, they feel as though you're a mother, you're a big sister. And I've seen in my office, a young man came in and he was angry. He was walking up and down, and he was just at that point, and it was over some financial issue that he had with somebody. And it eventually, I just had to sit and let him vent. And eventually you saw the tears. He broke down, and we were able now to see how we can build. What are the options that you might have? After he's had that opportunity to vent and calm down, now he can think rationally as to the different options rather than thinking of going and react violently. These are the different options that you have, and I can give advice and guidance. And today, this is because he was in that office about 2 years ago, and he's one of the persons that is a success story. Just recently started a little business himself in terms of landscaping, and he brought his flyer to the office and said, well, Mrs. Nichols, I want you to post this up for me. And so it takes a lot in terms of building the relationship, letting them know that you are there and you're going to provide support, and you're going to be consistent with the support. You're expecting that things wouldn't go smoothly all the time. There would be areas or times when they might disappoint you. We do get disappointments, but that does not mean that we give up on them. And once they know that you are there, they feel comfortable, and they make that progress that you expect. So the young men might not be as hardened as some of us might think, especially when they don't have to prove anything to anybody. And it's individualized and it's one-on-one. And we have the male mentor as well that works along with them, and he has a background where in law enforcement, where he's used to seeing some of them that might have struggles with legal issues, and he's there to show them that I believe that you deserve a second chance, but you need to take the second chances that have been afforded you and run with it, as we say.
Yes, listeners, as I say, you're listening to Hard Talk. We're speaking with Miss Avril Edwards Nicole. She's from the Ministry of Youth Division, the Social Care Unit, and she's talking to us about the softer side of the Ministry of Youth, not now just the programs that they offer, but she's talking about how do you build self-esteem, build your own confidence, and start planning for your future and your life, and probably even making the changes. There are some of us who probably have gone too far down the wrong path, as I say, but no distance is too far. We can always stop, can always turn around and get onto the right path. I'll want to give an opportunity to some of our listeners out there, as you normally will do, to calling. Remember, the number is 440-7377. We are going to open up the lines. You may have a few questions. You may even have some suggestions that you want to give. Or, like I say, you may disagree with some of the points raised here this morning, and you want to offer your own side of the story, your own experience if you wish to. Just be respectable, and let's try to remember when we get a chance to get a calling that we are not the only person who wants to call to make a contribution or ask a question, that there may be several others who are trying. So we try to be straight to the point, we try to be short and get the message out. So 440-7377 if you're calling locally, and for those who are calling from outside of Grenada, it's 347-329-3101. You can also send us a message on the WhatsApp, which we look at and listen to, and some people do WhatsApp me directly, and I will deal with it. Nearly 2 years, Mr. Nichols. What kind of numbers you would say in terms, an average, if you don't have the exact, pass through your unit and you have dealt with so far?
So for the month, up to the month of October 2020, we had engaged 237 persons within the Imani program. We also would have engaged for 2020 alone, 22 empower persons, empower participants. Then in terms of those projects where we have a full class, there are 25 fly participants, there are 25 persons within the small business component of the ministry. So in average, I can say that we have assisted just about 500 or so persons within the 2 years. And we can say that a lot of them have definitely made progress in terms of their mindset. It's a work in progress, and sometimes things might not always go smoothly, but we do believe that some of the things that we would have taught them would have made a mark. And one person called just last week from England. She had made progress as well, and she migrated to England, and she called and she said, "Mrs. Nichols, I know it was a long time ago, but something that you said still stuck in my mind, and it has to do with the fact that you cannot control what others do, but you can control the response that you give to the action that they take." And she said that stuck with me. I mean, it was a long time ago, but every day as I encounter different conflict or confrontational situations, it sticks that I cannot control the behavior of other persons, but I can control my reactions. So yes, within those 2 years, there have been persons that, even though it's just 1 point that stuck, I believe that the unit has definitely made an impact.
Great. And that is that it relates to your people. But have there been any other activities that the unit has been engaged in that you'd like to highlight, that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, the unit has been doing a lot. We try to ensure that it's not just persons coming into the office and they're sitting on a couch and they're talking to us, but we go out into the community as well. We have done community service activities because we believe that when we help others, sometimes we forget about our own issues. Sometimes they come in and they're stressed out. But if we realize that there are other persons out there that need more help than you do, you kind of understand that you might be exaggerating your issue a little bit too much. So we have done community cleanups for the elderly. A group of us went, we painted and fixed up one of the homes of an elderly man. We have also cleaned the yard and helped in beautifying a woman who lost her husband. We've also made donations to the elderly homes. So the young persons are putting together and going out and doing things, as well as ensuring that we stick in the social elements. So because it's young people we're dealing with, we have to make sure that they're enjoying the process of being with the unit. So we ensure that there's a hike, but it's not just going on a hike for a hike's sake, but there's always a lesson behind it.
And I just want you to hold that thought a little bit, because we have asked for callers and they've started. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
What I want to say, I don't know if they are doing it already, because I'm not aware of a lot of things, so
Yes.
I don't want to make any statement. But I believe that counseling should start with the pregnant mothers when they come to the clinic.
Yes.
Because I work with the children at my church. They come from different communities. These children, they feel unloved. Some of them are abused. And my heart goes for some of them. I know those parents, some of them, they are very frustrated based on how their partners treat them. So the children get the abuse because of that. And I think if they get the counseling at an early age and help them to show a lot of love to the children, show them how they care, things might be a little better, because I think some of them are doing things to get attention and bad things, because they're asking for certain things and the parents not paying attention to them. I've seen it happen. They're talking and the child wants their attention and they're not studying them. So that you might see they're doing something or say something. And these are things we have to look at. From childhood, you have to train the children, show them love and do all these things. So as they grow, they would learn that they don't have to behave this way to get attention. That's my input.
Well, we thank
and
you
I've seen a lot of things in my time. I haven't said anything, but I try to work with those that's within my reach, and that's what
Well, we thank you for your contribution. We thank you for your observation, and we also thank you for what you have been doing within your church and within your community. But I dare say to you, if you're seeing things that you think needs to be addressed, there are different people. You don't have to be public about it, but in different ways. And Ms. Nichols have just said that the office is always open at the youth center. Maybe you can just quietly going and seek her out, or one of the other social care workers, and let them know what you're observing, and they probably can take a deeper look into it. But just one of the things that she said before I let you come back on, Ms. Nicole, about the starting the counseling and training very early. I only recently was doing a little bit of research myself on youth delinquency and probably what are some of the causes and so. And I came across an experimental piece that was done in one of the US states, where they started working with pregnant mothers from the third trimester in terms of parenting and, care and the things they should do, how they should train and bring up their children, up to the point where that child was about 3 years old. So from the third trimester up to that time. And what they have noticed with the group that they've worked with, especially single mothers or mothers who were going to rear their children on their own, the father figure was nowhere around, is that you had drastic reduction in terms of the delinquency, the crime, the behavior, and everything that was expected of children who came from single parents' home. It was vastly different. So maybe it's something that we can look at in time, and try to implement it, because we need, the earlier we nip it, the better it may be. Yes.
Definitely. I think I applaud the caller for that suggestion, and I am very familiar with similar programs done overseas, and I know that they can be effective. And I think that we have actually started different parenting programs within the different ministries as well, but we just may need to be a little bit more consistent and ensure that the promotion is there as well, so persons know of the different programs that are available.
Certainly. There's someone on the WhatsApp who said, they said, "Good morning, I'm unemployed and wants to rear animals and birds." It's kind of unrelated to what we're talking about. What's in the what procedure, the procedure in getting a piece of land from government to start a small business. So I can tell the person that what they need to do first and foremost is go into the Ministry of Agriculture Lands Division, which is on the second floor, and there they will find a land officer or the director of lands, and they can start the process from there. Second floor, Ministerial Complex, Land Division. Yes, we have another caller coming in. Let's take this one. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
According for the program, like I find we have so much idle children in our home. So much idle children. When they come to school, they don't have nothing to do. Especially I have two sons, and I just get fed up sometimes because they come to school and they don't hear what I'm saying. Sometimes they just leave and they go for the whole day. I fed up with them on the street. Them children and in our home, there's not nothing good to teach them children. I find it to have something in place for them.
Something like what you are suggesting.
Yeah?
Something like what you want to have for them, you think should be there for them.
Like, somebody could
listen to the phone.
Speak to them, speak with them. Speak to them to learn to the home and learn to do things, and I find it that things like when after they come out from school they could find something to do.
Yeah, well, you have to encourage them. They're your children. But here's what I'll tell you to do. You stay at home, which I know very well. Listen to what I'll ask you to do for me, please. And we'll see what we can build from that. There's a lady that you know very well. If you live in Ahoma, you must know Miss McLeana. Okay. Yes? McLeana Franzik, McLeana Nelson from down there in John Baptist. Do you know her?
Yeah.
I know that you will. So I want you to get in touch with her. She will take your information, your name, your contact number, and what have you. We'll start to have a conversation. You will explain to us more. We'll try to set up a little program where we can bring, if Miss Nichols is available, or anyone else who can come and talk to the children. The community center, I know they're doing some transformation on it because they want to house the health center there for a little while, but it's possible if we talk to the people when they complete, or the school is there, which is not very far from our home, but we might be able to talk to the parents and the children together and see what can happen. Yes? So talk to Miss McLean and give her the information for me. She will record it. I will get in contact with her and we'll try to see what we can do. Thank you for your call. Thank you for that. Miss Nichols, in cases like that, someone calling from a community, totally detached from the Ministry of Youth.
Right.
But again, you can hear the frustration, and she's talking about two of her own sons. And it sometimes icks me a little bit, but that's the reality. How can I have two sons and can't get them to do anything? I feed them, I clothe them, I do whatever. So again, it's about parental control. Yes. But as the previous caller said, maybe because they didn't have that training, because you have a lot of young parents now. They're young.
True.
They're still teenagers themselves and may have come out of a family background where there were never much control. So they have not learned it before. So it's extremely difficult. But how do we work with these people and deal with them?
I think a case like that is one where the community members would have to come together. We don't always want to expect the government or the ministry to always have the program set up, but it wouldn't take a lot to have a few parents come together and to identify persons, resource persons. They can do little projects, arts and craft in the afternoon. It doesn't have to be every day. It can simply be once or twice a week. Once there's a space available, it's easy to find persons. And if there's a need for us to assist in terms of identifying persons that are willing and competent enough to assist in those areas, we can help. But the community would have to do their part as well. Great. Come together and organize.
Yep. We do have another caller. Good morning, caller, and thank you for calling our program.
Thank you, my brother.
Ms. Jacob, how are you today?
I said, Brother Boindi. I just talk about Brother Boindi.
Yes.
Brother Bola. Good morning, my darling brother.
Morning, Miss Jacob.
And to my beautiful, once handsome sister, although I don't know her, but that's my sister from God, by God.
Yes, she is.
Good morning, good morning.
Sweetheart.
Good morning, Miss Jacob.
I love your program this morning, darling.
Thank you so much.
I love it. When you hear you having those children, first thing, when they come, put them in the hands of the Lord. You say the Lord's prayers, you say the prayers with them, and then you go ahead with your meeting. As I tell Brother Bola and them last week, I come from a very, 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 you have to learn home and in the school. And you know what we school children used to do before in the school? We have our own, you know, those 4-H club, and I see a 4-H.
Yeah, you still have a bit, not much,
now.
4-H. They still do have one or two schools that have that.
Yes, the 4-H club of work garden, working the own garden for ourselves.
Yes.
And my dear darling, you have a good job. Take some good. Those parents, those young parents are really no. Sorry to say that, Popo. And I'm sorry to say that it's not all, not everybody. Those parents that really know. They doesn't say get themselves together with their children in the night to pray. I ain't telling you what they say. That's what I know. Some of them. And in the morning before you get up, you wake up your children and you pray with them. And in school, when you hear Mr. Benjamin come and he close that school door, who they in staying and who out stay out, you have to pray together before we go down in the classes. That's what I'm calling on the ministry of children especially, and use it to the youth. Bring up your youth just as how your mother brought you up. Bring them in the Lord, put them in the Lord. Let them go to church on a Sunday, if it's Sunday or Saturday. They go to church, take what the church telling you. Long ago, we used to go to church in the morning and still we had to go for Sunday school in the evening. I wonder if Brother Bola know that.
Yes, I do remember that, Miss Jacob. Yes, I do. Yeah, you had in the Seventh Adventist, they had Sabbath school, which is a separate little thing for the younger ones, the younger minds, that they would teach you things that are more applicable for you. And, you know, within the Catholic and Anglican, they had their Sunday school.
So, Brother Bola, we have a nice young little lady by your side there. We want to watch out.
She's not right by my side. She's a little distance away from me, Jacob, but I'm looking at her. I'm looking at her.
No, I said we have to grow up just as how we grow up.
Yes, we have to. We have to. She's very knowledgeable and she's very religious as well, so she's in the right place.
So, Brother Bola, you and this nice, beautiful lady, you all have a wonderful and a blessed day. Anything you're doing, put Daddy first.
All right.
If you put your right foot and you have to put your call on Daddy, if he tell you don't move your left foot, don't move it.
Yes.
You heard, sweetheart?
Oh, thank
the
you.
Lord with you, darling.
Thank you
God
so much,
bless
Miss
you,
Jacob.
and I love you, sweetie pie.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Good day, Miss Jacob. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a blessed weekend. Miss Jacob is someone who has a lot of love in her heart. She loves everyone. Everyone. So it's good. And I mean, she sometimes is one of the persons from our past in terms of, you know, much more senior than us, but always gives good advice. And we do have another call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Good morning, Miss Nicole.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Bola, I'm going to look at Miss Nicole. I'm going to look at 3 words, right?
Yes.
Discipline, love, and respect. And I do believe that if one loves the self and they love the neighbor, they love the self, and they respect the self and respect others, right? They will always be in the line where they would not want to conflict and do harm to other people. Because you know, they say what you do to like to do to yourself, you will not likely do to others. But one of the things that I do believe what cause failure and people get themselves in against the law. There are some people they love themselves but they love others. But if you love yourself and you love your neighbor as you love yourself, you will never want to do harm to your neighbor. So I believe for someone to have self-control, they must be disciplined, respect one another. Alright? Because one of the things I want to see as a parent, so sometimes we teach our children tourists do what is right. So we don't set the example. We don't set the example. Like, I remember when you were on the program with Representative Banfield, where I think we should make it similar, where a lady going on with her children, and she passed and she would tell the person morning, and she do the same thing, right? And she turned around to tell them to go back and say morning. So you see, sometimes we have to say like, yes, you want somebody might have a misunderstanding. But know how good and wonderful and pleasant when you pass by the road and see somebody and say morning to them. It is very important to say morning. Morning is very important. And morning is a mark of respect to one another. So, Mr. Bola, I think Nicole, you all have one to the better.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for your contribution. Enjoy the rest of your day as well, and a good weekend. Yes. So, sometimes our callers contribute really, really
very good points.
Yeah. You were highlighting before we were not interrupted, but we ask them to call now, and sometimes they do. Sometimes it comes fast and furious if we can't take them enough, but sometimes we get a little break. So and we are winding down. We have a couple of minutes still, but we normally close off at 11:45 to facilitate the national report, and so from the GIS. But You have had an opportunity to serve for at least 2 years, and prior to that, where you got real joy, I believe, was from your teaching. Someone is calling again, so I can't finish my question. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Are you there?
Yes, we're here. We're hearing you.
Your partner, Bull calling you.
I know who is calling. Yes, yes.
You know what? You know what I call you to for you do for me?
No, tell me, please. Yes.
I want you to check on something for me. Christmas coming, I ain't see nothing, sir.
Yeah. All right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, that just come in my mind. I tell me call you and just do that for me.
So we'll take a look at that. I'll speak to whoever I can.
Coming, I ain't get nothing to do and I ain't see nothing.
All right. Oh, that's not right.
I just want to throw that here.
All right, great.
Yeah. Take care, sir.
You have a good one too. Take care.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. You highlighted some of the things that you as achievements for 2020. In your plans moving forward, I know one of the things that you have already said is to engage a bit more,
community level.
At the community level, probably what we refer to as early detection, getting into that. What are some of the other things that you may hope to achieve for 2021 in terms of your planning, your unit planning?
Right. So we want to extend our network as well. We want to ensure that when persons come in, and if there's any need that is beyond our capacity, that we definitely have an organization that we have a connection with, they understand what we're about, and that their philosophies coincide with what we have. We want to ensure that we have a broader network of persons to work with. If there are persons out there that they feel as though, in the diaspora even, they feel as though there's a contribution that they can make towards what we are trying to accomplish, they are always invited to contact us and let us know. So that's one of the major things that we're looking to do, expand our network in 2021.
Very good. And I do hope that our brothers and sisters in the diaspora takes up that challenge, and because there are some of them that really probably can help. Huh?
Oh, yes. Yes. We also realize that sometimes persons may come into the unit and they receive the counseling, but there's a lot more in terms of tangible support that might be required. We wouldn't be able to give them monies, but if there's a need for hampers, we have distributed hampers in the past. Donations made to the unit from various persons, different organizations, and we were able to go out into the communities and distribute these hampers to persons. So if there are persons that have supplies and they're willing to to donate, contribute, we're ready to accept. In the unit as well, we also have a clothing drive. There's a big closet filled with professional wear, because as young persons, usually we don't have this work attire. And we might come into the program, we graduate, and now it's time for us to go to work, but we don't have anything to wear. So the unit relies on contributions from others in the community, things that are in good condition, and it's professional. So the young men, right now, the Empower young men are coming in and they're asking for help in terms of shirts, soft pants, and work shoes. So persons donate and they come to the office, they search, and they get to leave, and when they go into the workplaces, they can feel confident that they look the part. So that's another area that persons can make contributions. We're just asking that it's in good condition and professional wear, not too much of the casual, but things that would help them in terms of their work attire.
Well, that's so nice. And, only on Wednesday, we had Miss Gloria Payne Banfield on program. And one of the things we spoke about was attire, and the different types. Because sometimes you get an invitation and they tell you so many different things. Lounge suit, business suit, elegantly casual. So you want to know what are these different terminologies and how do you dress?
For these
different programs. We did have someone attempted to reach us via WhatsApp call, and sorry we missed it, we didn't get it. So if that person is listening, they can call back, and we definitely would want to engage you. You may have a comment that is vital or a question that you want to ask, because we facilitate, as we say, we try to facilitate as many people as is possible.
Right.
Youth in general. Now, I'm moving a little bit away from what your main focus is, social care.
Right.
Sometimes we hear stories about our young people, the younger generation, which, by the way, Grenada has quite a large percentage. In fact, from the last population survey that was done, it was related a little over 60% of our population is considered to be youthful. Maybe it might have changed by now slightly. What's your take on young people? And sometimes we don't hear a lot of very good things. I do not honestly believe that, generally speaking, our young people are bad. I think sometimes they're misguided. Sometimes they go along the wrong path. They follow the wrong role models. And it's just some of them, because we have some excellent young people that the entire country have to feel proud of. The way they carry out themselves, the achievements they have, they have, and different things that make you feel very proud. While at the same time, we have some that must be a work in progress, that we have to continue to see how we can transform them into what they really needs to be, or along the path they need to go. Your general take on the youthful population and how you see them and what you believe should happen.
The youth these days are definitely different. The environment is different, and with the changes in terms of technology, they have a whole different experience and different challenges than what persons my age or older would have encountered. Generally, I believe that the youth, they are more united than we might even think, and they have a genuine passion for working together. They have that zeal for making a difference and wanting to make an impact. When you listen to persons, they want to make their lives matter. So I think that once they are nurtured in the right way and given the guidance, that we have a youthful population that is energetic, vibrant, and passionate about certain issues, social issues as well, and they coming together with the right kind of leadership, we can see them making a lot of positive impact in society, especially here in Grenada. There are cases where, and I don't want us to ever believe that there are the negative outdoes the positive at all, because I think that there are many young persons out there that are focused, they know what they want, and a lot of the times, especially in terms of academic, you can see persons right now, they're moving, they're progressing. Before you might have settled, they would have settled with just CXC passes. But now so many young persons are coming into the unit and they're telling me, I want to upgrade myself because it's very competitive out here in terms of getting a job and marketing yourself properly. So they are making progress. They're going and they're studying, and you have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees at a very young age. So we don't want to ever underestimate how much young people are doing and taking classes and, you know. On the other hand, we do have some persons that have been influenced negatively and they are not living up to their fullest potential, might be wasting time on the blog or on social media. And I believe all that these persons may need is someone, a mentor, somebody coming in and helping them to understand that you too have a contribution to make, and your life is one that should be of service, one that gives back. Life is so short. You want to make this 10. You want to make the most of it as possible, and not just for yourself to feel as though you've achieved, but to give back and to ensure that somebody else can look to you as a role model. So once we help them to understand that their life matters and that they can make that contribution, I believe that young persons can be, this group of young persons that we have here now can make a huge impact in our nation.
Of course, it's off today and they are off tomorrow, because we need to prepare them today for the responsibilities they must take up tomorrow. You and I would not be around forever, and they will have to take the places of control, and they will have to be in charge. I should be by then in my golden years, and I want to relax. Yes. I want to be able to sit in my veranda and get some of the fresh breeze that blows from the sea upwards, and don't have to worry about someone sticking a gun or a knife at the back of my head and saying, give it up. I don't have anything to give up.
Right.
That's my age, right?
Right.
Yeah, but it's what we do, because our youth are a reflection of us, our own behavior.
Exactly.
Yes? They mirror us, yes?
Oh, yes.
And I love when you talk about that quest for education, right? And the speaker themselves is a prime example. At your very early age, here you are sitting with 2 master's degree, at a very early age. So people can look at you, young people can look at you and say, I can achieve just as well. I can do just as good. And there's an old saying that that I oftentimes use, even on this program, to say that success is not final. No. Meaning that whatever you succeed in doing, there's always a quest to do more. So success is not final, but failure is not fatal.
Right.
So if you failed at the first attempt, you didn't die. One great writer says, sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. He said, we never lose. When we fail at something, it's a learning experience. Yes? So for those out there who have attempted and they think, well, oh God, I didn't make it, it's not for me. No, that is not true. It is an opportunity to do it the next time better than you did before. Yes? So let's go for it. But in that same vein, I noticed too, in terms of the percentage, the quest for higher levels of education, I think the female population is outstripping us as male 10 to 1, would you say?
Oh, goodness. If you look at a classroom at the university, you might say so.
Well, that's what I mean. It's out of those things. You look at the success rate, even at the secondary schools. More females, I think, are doing better than the males. You have a couple of instances like the last set of results where we had 2 of the young men from GBSS, that topped the island in terms of numbers. I think 16 or 18 or something. They're about in one case and 14 in the other case. Yes, you have that. But when you look at the general population that comes out, the females do. And do you have any idea, any reason why it may be so? Why our male population is not too enthused by wanting to get higher levels of education?
I am not too sure if I would say they don't want to get higher levels, but I think it has to do with the areas that are available. The young women may be more inclined to sit in a classroom and to have books presented to them and read the books and, do assignments and so forth. I personally believe that young men are more hands-on and they want to do more of the practical things. And I think that if we have more opportunities for persons to the young men especially to go into vocational training, they would grab it. And even within the Empower program, for instance, you would hear the young men telling you that they want to learn a trade. They want to have a certificate in the trade because sometimes they already have the experience, but they don't have the paper for it. But they're not interested in going and reading too much. I mean, there's always the theoretical parts of it, right? But they want to get into it. They want to get hands on, and they want to do that quickly. So I think that we, in terms of maybe our educational structure, we might have to understand how the young men function better and try to adapt our teaching styles and our strategies to ensure that we pull them in and we keep their attention, so that they too would feel as though they can go further. There are some areas that would gravitate towards them. They would feel more inclined to sometimes information technology or engineering, electrical work or plumbing. Sometimes they want to do that, not necessarily sit in the classroom and listen to somebody lecture all the time. It's probably easier for the young women to do.
Okay, well, there you have it. So, callers, you still have just a few minutes if there's anyone wanting to contribute to ask a question, to share a thought, to congratulate Miss Nicole. She's been doing a tremendous job from what you've said. She's been able to help quite a number of people together with our unit. And the expectation for 2021 is to broaden their scope, to work with more people. And as you've said, support groups. So I want to suggest that support groups may not necessarily be limited to people who do similar things like you, but for example, financial institutions, because you did mention that sometimes after going through that, the next phase for the individual may be to start up their business, to get some funding. Maybe they have a very good idea, but one of the frustrating things that has driven them down the road to where they become an abuse of a substance abuser, be it alcohol or other illicit substances, maybe because they got very frustrated about the fact that they could not move that idea forward, and that idea may take financing. So if there's that relationship that is developed with some of the other programs, some of the institutions, graduating from the social care unit, having gone through a couple of months or a couple of sessions, and then one feels that individual now has made the transformation, there can be a suggestion as to where to go, or maybe there can be a letter or something from your unit saying, look, we've worked with this young man, this young lady over the last 6 months, over the so many sessions, and we are happy to recommend them as a good prospect for some kind of financing.
Yes, that's a lovely suggestion. We have in the past had different organizations come in, and sometimes even financial institutions. They come in and they would explain to persons how the whole process works, how they should engage in budgeting and refrain from going into loans, taking a loan too quickly, and how interest rates work. So we have done some collaborating with financial institutions in the past, but definitely we open and welcoming more persons to just join us, collaborate, regardless of, it doesn't have to be a financial institution, but based on the service that you're providing, or that do whatever you feel you can contribute, we're open to listening to you and trying our best to see how what you have to offer can be accessed by the young persons.
Great. You are what I believe is a public servant.
Oh, yes.
Whether you're on contract or what have you, but with the public service. And you are not, I am not in any way encouraging you to pick any side politically or say anything political. I don't want you to go down that line. But what I want to ask you is an opinion in terms of the youth, the Ministry of Youth in general. Are you satisfied with where the Ministry of Youth is at this time and what they're doing? Or do you believe in your mind, and I hope you doesn't get in trouble for speaking your mind out, that there is a lot more that can be done through the youth, not just the youth division, but the entire ministry per se, because the youth division is doing a lot, but the ministry is a bigger, it's a bigger organ than just the youth division.
Right. I do believe that there is an effort to do as much as we can. When you think of the number of programs, the different projects, the opportunities that are being afforded to the young persons, opportunities that many older persons would always say, I wish I had those opportunities when I was younger. Right. There are many opportunities for young persons, and I applaud the Ministry of Youth, especially when it comes to listening to the needs of the young persons, and hence the reason the social care unit actually exists, because of listening to the fact that, yes, we want a work, we want certification, the CVQ and all of that, but there are social and life issues that we need assistance with, and hence the social care unit came into play. Definitely, there's always room for improvement. There are certain areas that we may need to improve on. Within the Ministry of Youth, I personally believe that the biggest area that we might need to improve on is ensuring that there are opportunities for employment, and not just employment, but also the possibility of self-employment. We don't always want persons to expect that they're going to get a job with somebody else, but give them opportunities as well for them to be entrepreneurs, to be self-employed. So I think that we know that unemployment is a major issue, and that is one of the things that we can try to improve in. But all in all, I must say that I believe that we are trying our best. Many young persons graduate from the different programs every year, and they can attest to the fact that they have been given a great opportunity, a great foundation to start with.
So they're better off than they were before getting into the program.
Exactly.
Exactly so. Nichols, the pleasure has been mine to be with you this morning.
Thank you.
For just about an hour and 40 minutes now. And you have really touched my heart with some of the things you said. And there's someone trying to get in. I'll give them 30 seconds because we are running out of time. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're just on the dot of we closing off the program.
Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning. You have 30 seconds.
How are you doing? Okay.
We will.
It's a very good program, and your guest is well spoken. I hope she's planning to go for her doctorate with the 2 masters she has there. I must say, I want to congratulate you on the programs that you are bringing out with that they have for the young people that you have been bringing out lately. And I hope that we see more of that, and because people have been saying that there's nothing going on for young people, and so maybe the ministry itself needs to sensitize, the other media houses and let them, run some programs so people would know what is happening out there for the young people. And that's what I have to say. You enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend.
We wish you the very, very, very same, my dear. And thank you for calling. And I can say, though, that I think we have now developed a sort of collaborative effort with the Ministry of Youth, because we do have another arm of the ministry, Carriacou, to come in sometime next week. I think it will be 2 individuals to speak in depth about the Empower program. So, yes, what the caller is calling for, we kind of is developing that kind of a relationship, and I'm really happy for that because, rightly said, there's so much you hear negatives, nothing about it for the youth, and the youth's this and the youth that, and the ministry is doing so much, and a lot more could be done, and not a lot more needs to be done. But I know resources, like I say, both human and financial, sometimes can prevent us from getting to where exactly we want to be. I'd like you to take the next minute and a half, if you wish to give some closing remarks, or at least leave a thought in the minds of the people who have listened to you and I believe have been touched by what you have said here this morning.
I just want to say thank you once again for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to let the public know that there is a social care unit within the Ministry of Youth, and our goal is to provide psychosocial support to young persons throughout Grenada. One of the things that stood out to me most in this interview was Miss Jacob's call. And Miss Jacob. Yes. And Miss Jacob just reminding us of the importance of having a spiritual foundation and to ensuring that as we live, we are accountable to God for the life that we live. And all the things that He has blessed us with, the education and different experiences, is for us to be able to serve others. Right? Use our life as one of service. And that is what has brought me the most joy within the Ministry of Youth. Just to be able to use my life experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and letting persons know that though we go through difficult times, that is what builds our strength. That is what helps us to be able to relate to others and to help them to pull up themselves. So I thank the ministry for establishing the social care unit in 2018, and I thank the other members of the social care team who works really hard every day, listening and counseling and mentoring young persons. We are trying our best, and I pray that God would give us continued strength and health, and that passion to go out there and to do our best in everything that we set our heart to. So thank you once again for the opportunity.
Well, we thank you most profoundly for taking the time to be here, for sharing the information that you have shared with us. I know that our public and listeners are better educated and have a better grip on what, or some more of what the ministry offers, because, like I said, we had Mr. Johnny Callis last week, and 2 weeks before that, we had your, what is he now, the Director of Youth, Mr. Ryden Bihari.
Coordinator of Youth.
Coordinator of Youth, sorry, yes, thank you. Coordinator of Youth. So we're getting a lot of information out, and I think people will be much more appreciative of it. Friends, we have come to the end of today's program. That's as far as we can take you. We say thank you to everyone who has contributed in one way or the other, whether you had given us a call, whether you had sent us a message, or you just listened and soaked in what was being said, or you called a neighbor and said, tune in, HARDTALK is on. We hope that you would enjoy the rest of Friday. You would have a very wonderful weekend. And God's willing, we'll join each other again on Monday as we continue HARDTALK. We say on this program every day that we'd like to be speaking with you and not about you. So be safe, be secure. Follow the protocols, because COVID-19 is still very prevalent. We see what is happening in the metropolitan states, you know, the first world countries. They are basically on their knees as it relates to that. The US is looking at closing down several of its states now. Europe has been back on lockdown. France, Germany, the UK, they have been on lockdown for the last couple of weeks, and we need to take care here. We need to understand what we're dealing with, and sometimes don't always feel that when you are asked to do something that is a little bit unusual, it's because someone wants to control your way of life. It is sometimes for your own protection. So do enjoy the weekend, but be safe, be secure. We'd like to talk to you and not about you. And God's willing, we'll join each other next Monday. Please stay tuned for the National Report. Thank you very much.
2020-2021 budget to reflect restriction in expenditure due to negative effects of COVID-19 on the economy. We'll have the details to this story and more. 2020-2021 budget to reflect restriction in expenditure due to negative effects of COVID-19 on the economy. We'll have the details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, November 19th, 2020, I'm Delroy Louzan. Finance Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen says 2021 will be a difficult financial year due to the harsh effects of COVID-19 on the economy. During the government's town hall meeting at the Carriacou Government School on Wednesday, Minister Bowen said the prospects are low for 2021, coming from a $180 million shortfall in revenue in 2020. The Finance Minister said the 2021 budget, which will be presented by the end of this month or early December at the latest, will reflect restricted expenditure as government explores new ways to collect revenue.
To date, the Cabinet has made 3 iterations to the first proposal that was sent to them with respect to the national budget for 2021. And the thrust is to give a reasonable picture of what will happen in 2021. Leave out 2020 and looking just to the end, December 31st, 2021. What is the quantity of revenues that we'll be able to collect during that period? And what should be the expenditure during that period? Remember, we were coming from a shortfall of over $180 million. This must be seen in the budget. In other words, we will not be able to collect the quantity of revenues that we would like in 2021 to meet an expenditure that will do all that we want. So we have to restrict the expenditure, and we have to look at new ways in gathering revenues.
A committee has been established to find alternative options to generate revenue. Minister Bowen also says plans are underway to expand the construction and small business opportunities to create employment.
It is not impossible that we achieve the goals that we have set. High goals, but obtainable. In other words, if you can go for 8, if 8 is the maximum, we are going for 8. It's not that 8 is the maximum, and therefore we should try 6, because 6 is a little easier. No way. So therefore, next year will be a difficult year with respect to finances. Imagine the unemployment ratio has risen from 12.1% to 28.9% just through COVID. And not, remember, we have started the construction. And even with the construction, we have this huge rise. We must look at the economic activities, expand the construction, look at areas, entrepreneurship areas, have training for youth.
Consultations were held so far with various sectors, including youth, business, and farmers. If all goes well according to plan, government will begin construction of a new fire station in the south of the island in the new year. Infrastructure Development Minister Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox says it will be constructed in Dusty Highway. The Carriacou site of the current fire station will become the home of a new police headquarters.
That will be done, where we normally do the licensing at the Dusty Highway. Yes, so that area, that site will be the site of a brand new fire station. So that's a significant project that we are working towards. Now, that project doesn't come alone. That project comes along with another significant project, which will be a new police headquarters. And that will go at the site of the current fire station. So you will see it happen, but we have to build a new fire station first down here in the south.
Senator Cox, who was speaking at government's constituency town hall meeting at the Grenada Trade Center Annex, highlighted the importance of constructing a fire station in the south of the island.
We know how destructive fires can be, and we have the tourist center, which is in the south. We believe that having such an infrastructure, such facility here, will help bring some comfort to all the significant investment that we have in this vicinity and to protect them.
This is the National Report. We'll be back with more news in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Work is progressing on the construction of the retaining wall in Spring, St. George. On Wednesday, November 11th, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development announced the closure of one lane of the main road to facilitate construction of the wall. Contractor David Benjamin says work is progressing. However, there are challenges with land slippage following rainfall, which may delay completion.
The wall is 40 feet by 8 feet in height. Okay? The base is 6 feet 2. That base is 6 feet 2. The stem of the wall is 10 inches. And to the top of the wall is 8 inches. For 2 days we caught, well, from since the first day we caught, the second day we come, we had challenges. When them heavy thing pass, the soil break in and it fall along and it fall back up the thing. So we had to get the excavator again to clear it. Well, we come and we almost prepare everything. Everything we almost prepared, we was just digging the key. We was digging the key. And then the rain come not last night before. The rain come night before, and when we come, and then that section break fall down inside it. So I just call back the excavator again. So right now, you see you have a trench there, the trench cover back up. So right now we use ply to bar off where you go fall down, and then now we run in the board and get ready to dig back the trench and to get back to the level and blind it with some 2 inches concrete.
Benjamin is appealing to motorists, especially the truck drivers, to exercise caution and consideration when traveling in the vicinity of the construction project.
The heavier trucks will pass once they abide with us and they keep more to that side. Just to keep the weight on that side. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why you see we put speed bump. When they pass with speed, it break in. So once they pass slow and they pass on the side, everything will work out.
And finally in the news, the Ministry of Agriculture is easing the burden of manual tillage for some farming groups through the donation of equipment that will aid the preparation of land for cultivation. The power tillers, which were received from the People's Republic of China, will be used by these groups to reduce time and energy expended through manual labor.
We hope will ensure that the implements will be used, the tillers will be used by the group, for the use of the group, for the benefit of the group, and not for any one individual. We want everybody to take responsibility for the tillers in that the ministry, even though we may be able to help, but we won't be responsible for the maintenance. This tiller is now yours. As a group, it's yours, and we hope that you will use it for the benefit of Grenada and for your own benefits.
Senior Agricultural Officer Lauren St. Louis. The handover took place during a recent sod turning ceremony at the Chinese demonstration farm at Lassages, St. David. 2 members of some of the receiving groups, inclusive of the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, explain how they intend to use the machines. Here is farmer from St. Patrick, Francis Jeremiah.
With the tiller, we'll use them to plow, well not plow, but to fork, and it's very time consuming. With tiller now, we could double up on time, use less men, and also get a better end product in terms of soil, the way in which the soil will be tilled, to make it better so that crops can grow and yield better. The main intention is to use it in a way so that, well, as I see it, to allow root crops like beets, like carrots, sweet potatoes, to become available on a constant basis.
The power tiller that we are receiving today, we will be using it towards ensuring that our young people are able to become entrepreneurs within themselves from the agriculture perspective, and also to ensure that there is a form of sustainability in the lives of our youth as we move forward on a daily basis. Because we recognize that as youth, the challenge is unemployment and also being able to fund themselves and to grow. And so if we can get initiatives that can help them to prosper and to progress, then we'll be able to assist them not only in improving themselves and utilizing their skills, but also Grenada on a whole.
That was Bernard Lyons, Youth Director at the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. That story has brought us to the end of the National Report for Thursday, 19th November 2020. Recapping the headline, 2020-2021 budget to reflect a restriction in expenditure due to negative effects of COVID-19 on the economy. That's all from us here at the GIS Newsroom. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Delroy Louzan, thanking you for joining us.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.